また悪い夢。
親子ともども縁あってこうして生きとったんだから。
だから私はどんなことがあっても死んではいけない。
銀座を襲ったあいつ、大島だ。ゴジラですよね。
Hello Alex, how are we?
I'm very good, sir. Are you okay?
I'm very well, thank you. So Godzilla Minus One has landed on
Indeed.
Netflix, and
Yes.
wow, what a film, man! What a film indeed. Director is Takahashi Yamazaki, and
Yep.
it's the 37th edition of the Godzilla franchise in the films that were made about Godzilla, and what a belter. I was very impressed with this. To give you a quick run of the film, essentially it starts off with post-war Japan, and everyone's in this kind of feeling of shame because the war's been lost. That everyone's poverty-stricken, and there's a feeling of sadness, and all the men are returning from war, and our main chap, our main character, he comes into his village and he finds out that his parents are deceased, and everyone he tells that he was a kamikaze pilot instantaneously has no respect for him because they see him as the reason that the war's been lost, essentially. So anyway, that's kind of the onlay of the film, and then to add Godzilla to this, that's why it's called Minus One, because already we're dealing with a country that's in a dire state, and then Godzilla comes in and it just makes everything worse. But what did you think of this, Alex?
It's interesting that you've actually seen just how you introduced the film right there. It's nothing about Godzilla. It's about this person that is coming back. It's a failed kamikaze pilot, I would say. Then he essentially he's a coward. If you think about the whole film, this Koichi, I think his name, is a coward because every single decision is made has massive consequences. If you think about it, Godzilla is his fault, if you think about it, because he defects, basically pretends that his plane is broken, lands on an island, Odo Island, where it's like, I have something wrong with my plane, and while he's stationed there, the very first Godzilla attack happens, and then years later, when he's back to he survives that, he's back in Japan, having to deal with the fact that the people, colleagues of his, have died because of him not firing his plane at the younger version of Godzilla when the first attack happened on Odo Island. And second of all, because he didn't kill Godzilla at the time, now is massive and he started attacking and flattening everybody, having more victims under his belt, basically, this kamikaze, because of his decisions. And he deals with this through every single scene all the way to the end. He's trying to get redemption. He's trying to get, his dignity back, and it's nothing to do. And it's like we're watching him and his family, while this disaster in the form of Godzilla is coming. Ultimate disaster is coming, which also represents something that I think has just happened in Japan's history, doesn't it, Baz? I think Godzilla represented another ultimate destruction tool.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Obviously, it's got quite a lot to do with World War II, this film, which, again, I wasn't really expecting. I was just expecting to see an awesome CGI-packed Godzilla movie, and then I ended up being really pleasantly surprised about the emotion of what the Japanese state was after, post World War II. And as I say, you mentioned, Godzilla himself in the film kind of probably represented the atomic threat, with the Manhattan Project and what happened to Hiroshima and what have you. And every character in the film in their own way has been affected by war. As you say, our main character, Koshi, is like trying to get his dignity back almost, because even though being a kamikaze pilot was silly, dying in the name for your country for nothing, essentially. He still feels this great shame, doesn't he? And there's a lot of other characters in the film that are either traumatised by war or they've lost relatives from the war. And then they kind of almost, because of the second tragedy of Godzilla, it kind of bands them together, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, yeah, because they've just been to trauma. They're already a traumatized nation. And all of a sudden, something very similar comes back to do the same thing again. And they're like, we just been through this. How much lower can we get? How much more, pain and suffering do we have? Main character is in nowhere a hero type. Is flawed. He's shamed. He's shameful. He's guilt-ridden. Hasn't fulfilled his duty as a kamikaze pilot, and all of that. The Pearl Harbor attacks were based on kamikaze pilots. Those guys started flying from Japan all the way to Pearl Harbor with no return ticket, basically. So he was like, I am not going to join the ranks of my fellow hero mates that have died with dignity. I'm just going to have to, deal with the shame all the rest of my life. And that's just plays so well. And there's family involved. Reminded me a little bit of Parasite at one point, didn't it? Because their family and the dynamics in the family, isn't it? Or was it Shoplifters?
Well, but I think you could use Parasite as a good example as well. But I think we said Shoplifters as well, didn't we? Because of the dynamic of the family in the film. Because Koshi kind of takes under his wing a woman that abandons her baby in the first 15 minutes of the film, and he has to kind of accommodate the baby, and then also the woman when she returns to find her, because I think she's a criminal of sorts. But they have this family because it's not her baby.
Correct.
She's took it from another woman who insisted to actually do that because of the war effort, and obviously he's not the father. She's not the mother, but they both look after this young child. So it gives another incentive in the film to really root for the characters. And I was going to ask you about the acting in the film, because obviously it's quite a low budget film and there's not any huge names in it, but I thought the acting was absolutely fantastic. Even just the screams in the film of anger and rage when certain characters might die or be perished by Godzilla. It is really quite emotional. I was watching it and I was, it's a bit gut wrenching almost. You're like, bloody hell, I'm not ready for this emotional roller coaster. I thought we were just going to have a fun popcorn
film. No, exactly.
I'm really surprised at the emotion in the film. What about yourself, Alex?
Absolutely, yeah. No, absolutely. And that credit to the actors for that, because it's a very sad film. There's very little fun moments. You are sitting in a situation in history, in a moment in history where it was dramatic for the rest of the world, not just Japan. The whole world was in a state of shock, and these guys have to deal with another attack and another trauma, and they have to put their courage back together and piece themselves after a disastrous World War II. Piece themselves together to go to battle again, and without knowing if they're going to win or not, if they have any chance of survival against this beast. And it's just puts the characters in a way where they have to be really, really dramatic. But it was fantastic. Just with the little budget that they had, they delivered such an impressive film. What was the budget? I think you said some 15.
I think it was between $10 and $12 million. So that's incredibly cheap. And just on the subject, I think you just nailed it on the head. It wasn't fun, this film, and that's no disrespect to it. It was taken very seriously. The director took it down a serious route. It's almost like a very, very good drama. But on the subject of the CGI, because this is the film is known for, won an Oscar for the CGI.
Yeah.
What did you make of it, man?
Absolutely. I mean, the more impressive it is with that low budget. Bloody hell. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
How do
they get away with that?
How do they get away? And they have massive set pieces in the ports, which needs like background warships and destruction. And it's a period. It's in the past, in the 50s, And you're
exactly,
thinking,
and it looks very good, doesn't it?
Yes.
In terms of it being 1940s and late 1940s, it looks very pristine and what have you, and even the motorcycles that we use in the film.
Correct.
She's got a nice little motorcycle. The plane, the prototype plane, you know, all of the guns, you know, that you have on the back of the boats and so forth and so on, and yeah, as you say, with it being a period drama, you know, that sets your budget higher, doesn't it?
yes, yeah. And one thing to ask you, Buzz, I mean, let's look at a small little quick comparison between two sort of sci-fi films. If you think about it, you know, we have Godzilla doesn't exist. Let's compare it a little bit with Furiosa, with Mad Max, because both these films are bonkers. Yeah, when we say bonkers, they are not real. Obviously, they're sci-fi, science fiction. They're fiction. Yeah, but what Furiosa tried to do, and I don't think it quite hit the mark, was make it realistic, and instead, Godzilla Minus One actually did that very well, made it realistic by developing the characters. And remember what we said about Furiosa, we're missing that character development a little bit to ground it, to make it a bit more relatable to the characters, while Godzilla does exactly perfectly that very well.
Exactly, yeah. Well, in terms of the characters, couldn't agree more. You really wanted Koshi and his mistress to survive this attack, and for the sake of the baby that they need to bring up, and even everyone else. You know, even the naval commander who came up with the plan to defeat Godzilla, and you know, and the other characters that play little parts. Like there's a captain of a ship when they try and get up the mines from the sea, and then there's the kid, they call him, who's like a little character. Even he has a great role at the end of the film. But you bang on there. But another thing is when we say realistic as well, what we mean if an element that isn't in normal life, for instance Godzilla, is entered into our realm, how would that play out?
Correct.
And you know, it's just one or two elements that isn't in this universe as we know, and how would it play out if it goes in? Whereas in Furiosa, there was elements in that film that isn't in our realm as we know it, but the characters seem to have some, shall we say, plot armor. You know, they have plot armor, and they don't die in usual circumstances. So it starts to be a little bit too naive. I think you can say, but anyway,
unrealistic. But Furiosa is trying to hit that note of keeping it grounded and realistic, and say, this is the world, this is the situation we're in. How are the characters gonna play out in a realistic way? It's trying to do that compared to the first Fury Road with Tom Hardy, and it misses that mark compared to Godzilla, where it's like, Godzilla we know there's this big massive beast, we're dealing with it in a very realistic way, scientific. I mean, the final action sequence at the end is a naval battle, basically. It's ships, they're trying to work this out and get it done and do this and this and this various different, very plausible ways of hitting back at Godzilla. So it's very grounded and it's very realistic, which is what I liked, and that's why. But I think the fact that they spend so much time on the characters is what makes it hit that realistic type of mark.
Yeah. Because when you care about the characters, you know, it adds a little bit more. You have to take the film seriously if you take the characters seriously, don't you?
Absolutely, exactly, bang on. Yeah. Thank you for watching our review of Godzilla Minus One. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to see a comparison between Furiosa and Fury Road, stick around for our next clip. See you next time.